Before, Remembrance was a glistening kingdom of quaint cottages and green pastures, kept tidy by herds of goats and sheep. The citizens were pleasant and warm, ready to help a neighbor in need. Everyone called each other friend, and strangers were quickly welcomed into the community. The people of Remembrance were happy, but ignorant, for they knew not fear or distrust. They could not even imagine sadness or grief. The most beloved of these happy citizens were the king and queen, who ruled with benevolence and love. Everyone looked to them for guidance and friendship. They were revered and beloved by all. Wherever they went, the king and queen received their deserved praises. And when the queen bore 4 children, princes and princesses of Remembrance, the entire town celebrated. 4 more smiling faces added to the kingdom, and 3 of them were very happy. The eldest child was a daughter, a timid girl whose love of stories grew into a passion for writing. She went off to a neighboring kingdom to study literature, and the tales she brought to the people of that city brought her much fame and fortune. The second child was a son, whose passion in life was preparing meals for others. He spent far more time in the castle's galley than in the throne room, and preferred discussing the uses of cilantro over the politics of the kingdom. This worried the king, who had hoped his son would inherit the throne one day. The 2 slowly fell out of favor with one another, and so the prince often turned to his younger brother for comfort. The youngest child was a beautiful daughter, who spent her days exploring the castle to uncover secrets interred by the royal families of the past to protect future generations. And these 3 children were very happy. But the 4th child? He was born third, and began life as happy as the others. He and his brother were thicker than butter, sharing secrets with each other in whispers in the night. But what the younger prince could never confess was a growing feeling deep in his brain, a feeling that could not yet be named in Remembrance. For the boy did not know that, in the center of his young mind, was a dragon's egg. And as the boy grew and matured, so did the dragon. Until one day, it hatched.
And so begins Remembrance, my honors thesis for today. I chose to do a creative project in which I wrote a play, and it ended up being staged at Robert Morris University from October 2nd to the 4th, 2014. So what I would like to talk about today is a little bit about how the idea came about, a little bit of my research, and then hopefully show you a little bit more so you get a taste of what my project was. So Remembrance is actually about a roughly 2-year project. Basically, the original idea started back in my sophomore year of college. It was a completely different play. It was going to be about a comic book that affected a child's mind. And then in December 2013, the Sandy Hook massacre occurred. I remember watching the news about that incident, and one particular idea kind of irked me a little bit about it, how there were 26 victims in the school. But the shooter's mother was also killed, and she would have been 27. And we were only asked to remember the 26. Like there was the phrase, pray for the 26, occurred throughout the media. And so the mother, Nancy Lanza, she was being ignored in the media, even though she was just as much victim as any of the others. And so Remembrance slowly began to form from that idea. So it became a play about a Sandy Hook massacre style shooting in which the son and the mother were both killed, leaving behind a father, a sister, and a brother, and a younger sister in my case. And so I decided to start writing Remembrance. Well, it took on a very different form in the play that I fondly called Interred, which means buried in the Shakespeare, but I was advised the title is not exactly the most elegant for obvious reasons. And so we did a stage reading of that, which is just, it wasn't a stage reading, we just did a reading of it. So we sat in a circle and the actors read through the script, each taking different roles. So I could kind of see what the flaws were and what was kind of going on within the play. And so from there I kind of made rewrites. I had a Greek style chorus who you saw performing the puppet show earlier, played by Raymond Sims, who's here today, Bobby Tremontina, and Braylon Andrzejewski. And after the stage reading, or after the reading of it, I determined that I wanted more of the chorus, which kind of, you'll see later on, they each kind of, you'll see one of the monologues I wrote, but they got definitely a lot more than originally they were going to. A lot of the dialogue was changed as well. Again, if you want more specifics, read my thesis. It's kind of hard to just tell you all the different changes. There was a lot of work that went into this. So I really did most of my writing over the summer of 2014, especially when Barbara emailed me saying, hey, we want to put on your show as the opener in October. So I really had to start writing real quickly. But I got a chance to work with the actors who originated these roles, and I got to sit in on a lot of the rehearsals, and that really helped me to develop the play even further to its original form. And it was beautifully staged and directed by Barbara Bridges-Lefevre, who is also here. What I want to end my presentation with, because again, going over all the changes would take forever, I want to leave you with what is probably my favorite moment of the show, which is a monologue that I wrote for course number 3. And why this monologue is so important to me is because it's probably the closest to how I actually feel. There's still some dramatic license, so it's not exactly how I feel. But it's definitely the closest to my voice in the play, which is why I want to share it with you today. If you will indulge me. Which you kind of have to.
Grow numb to it after a while. Every few weeks, and there it is on the screen. 5 people dead, 8 people shot, a school, a park, a church. Unimaginable violence. Only not unimaginable. Ubiquitous. Mundane. I roll my eyes when I hear newscasters say, the world is stunned, or America's in awe, because we aren't. At least not anymore. We've seen it too many times, and we're sure as hell gonna keep seeing it. We're a culture of violence and aggression, and destruction. You see a mural painted on the side of a building, you want to bet that someone's decided to mark it up with some obscene graffiti, or worse, a name. We want to take ownership of what we destroy. Why? Why is it that people try to get famous for ripping apart decent society? Is it so much to ask everyone to just stop? Instead, it's all over the news. For a week or two, their name is everywhere. Eric Harris, Bill and Klebold, Sun Kui Cho, Adam Lanza, Elliot Rodger. We hear about their depravity, their premeditations, ignored threats, suspicious behavior, and endless questions for motive that can never be answered. It's just a waste of breath to ask. But for those 2 weeks, we are forced to relive the tragedy daily. The town or college victimized by the shooter is hounded by reporters trying to boost ratings by interviewing a crying girl who didn't actually know any of the victims, but is so shook up by what happened, as if it can't happen anywhere and doesn't happen everywhere. And then...
So because I'm running low on time, I won't show you the whole clip. If you have any questions, again, when we're all done, feel free to ask. I'm willing to talk about this as much. But just in general, that's not going to be the final version of Remembrance. There are going to be rewrites, but it's still cool to have a production accomplished. So thank you so much for your time.